blossom growing on a tree, white and pink and lazy as can be. But I'd be king just in the spring, so now I think it over. Gee, I'm glad I'm no one else but me. If you sit around and find the world is gloomy, and it isn't just your cup of tea, it's easy to imagine that it's rosy and gloomy. You can think the things you want to be. So when all is said and done, imagining's a lot of fun. But when there are battles to be won, be what you are, it's best by far, and soon you'll be in clover. Gee, I'm glad I'm no one else but me.
Hey there, how's it going? I'm so glad you decided to tune in today, because today we're going to do something a little bit different. Now, I've had a lot of requests to do something gluten-free, so today we are going to make black bean brownies. Yep, check that out. We're going to make brownies out of this. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, ew, that's kind of gross, but trust me, these are wonderful and they're super moist and you don't taste beans at all. Now, for this recipe, you're either going to need a food processor or a blender, but you're going to need something to puree the beans. So we're just going to take these black beans that I've already rinsed. That's a medium-sized can. And we're going to put them in the food processor, and we're just going to turn it on and let the food processor do its work. Now, you're going to notice that the food processor is going to stop for a little bit, so you're going to have to turn it off and just take your spatula and press them all down this way. We need to puree it pretty much to a paste, and then we're just going to repeat the whole process. Now, a lot of you have also been saying to me, Stephen, I really enjoy your videos a lot, but I'd love to see you do more dancing. But here's the thing, not everything can be a musical. Or can it?
But I can bake too, on top of the lot. My oven's the hottest in town. Well, I can bake too, my cookies so fine. My vanilla cake is simply divine. Now my brownie's new and it's tried and true. In fact, it's gluten-free. You may have your doubts, but come on, check it out. And baby, you're baked with me, 'cause I'm a gumdrop, a luscious cake pop. I'm the guy who likes to sift in and shake. And once more, baby, I can bake.
Nah, that would just be a bit much. Okay, these should be done. Next, I'm going to take 3 tablespoons of melted butter, and I'm just gonna pour that in. And I'm gonna let that mix around for a second. There we go. Good enough. Next up, we're gonna start with some of our wet ingredients. So I have 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. Just gonna throw that right in there. And I'm gonna start with one of the eggs, which of course I cracked on its own. And as always in baking, we do the eggs one at a time. So there's that. Good. That's all that needs. We take the next egg, dump that in, give it a few swirls around. Nice. That's it. Next, we take our dry ingredients. So, in here, I have 2/3 of a cup of lightly packed brown sugar, 1/3 cup of cocoa. I have a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now, I like to use either sea salt or I like to use kosher salt, but it's perfectly acceptable to use table salt. Now, I made a little bit of a mess here. That's okay. And this is a coffee pod, okay? I'm gonna use a little bit of an espresso coffee pod. There we go. let all that in. Now what the coffee does is it really enhances all those chocolatey flavors. So let's turn that on again. Great, that should be good. Now, as you can see, I spilled some of the cocoa, so I just got another tablespoon and I put it in there. Not a big deal, but that's the beauty of editing these videos, right? So I'm gonna take this off again. Wow, that's looking really nice. Now, totally optional as far as nuts go, but I took in here a half a cup of chopped up walnuts, and this is a really heaping half cup of dark chocolate chunks. What I love about this is it just adds another texture to the brownie. So I'm just gonna put those in all the way through. Boom, there it is. And I'm gonna push down the sides just one more time. And from here on in, really, you just have to pulse these a couple times. Okay, they don't need to be pureed. So I'm gonna pulse them about 3 or 4 times just to get them through the whole mixture. Boom, there it is. That's all it needs. Let's get rid of this and let's get going. So I have an 8 by 8 inch pan. Look at how I did this. What I did was I buttered the sides and I dusted the sides with cocoa. Can you see that? I did that instead of flour because I didn't want white sides to my brownies. And then I just lined it with a little bit of parchment paper, but you don't have to do the whole thing. Now, truth be told, I got that idea from Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart has it going on when it comes into the kitchen. You can just take this whole thing off and we can start to pour it into our pan. And really, it's as easy as that. Now, what's so cool about this is, as I said, you don't taste black beans at all. The beans really become the vessel for the other flavors. Okay, great. So it looks like I got this all. Just gonna give my hands a quick little rinse here. I have my tea towel on hand. Great. I'm gonna take my offset spatula and I'm just gonna smooth the batter so it goes to all 4 corners. Now, you'll notice I'm using glass instead of metal. The only reason that is because this is the only 8 by 8 inch pan that I own. So with glass, I am gonna cook this at 325 for a half an hour. If I was doing metal, I would do about the same thing, except I would bake it at 350, just because metal and glass conduct heat differently. So, look at this, fabulous. I'm gonna put this in the oven for a half an hour, and as always, I have a little bit of cleanup to do, so I'll see you after the bake. Hey, so they're done, and they turned out beautifully. Check that out. Now, I'm just gonna show how easy it is to flip them. Just gonna take a plate, take them over like this, lift this off. Beautiful. Get rid of that. And there we have it. That came off easy peasy. Now, I'm gonna take my cooling rack, just like that, flip it over, and voila. Now, you can zhuzh these up any way you want. The first time I had these, I just had them like this, and they were delicious. The next time, I used a dark chocolate ganache with sea salt. Yum. And the third time, I used a ganache with some toasted slivered almonds. Gorgeous. Today, I'm just gonna dust them with some cocoa. Now, I don't have a small colander, so I'm gonna use this. This is a little tea steeper. And I'm just gonna dust the cocoa all the way on top, just for that little extra something. Beautiful. So, here we go. Let's have another look at these. Check those out. Those are gorgeous. Beautiful black bean brownies full of protein, full of fiber. These would make a perfect snack for maybe after dance class or after the gym or any kind of physical activity. So I dare you to try this recipe and not find these delicious. And if you do try this recipe, make sure take a picture and tag me on it on Instagram at the Dancing Baker Canada. Okay, so What are you waiting for? Go! Black beans wait for no one. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. Now, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and to ring that little bell. That little bell lets you know when the next video is available. So, I'm just gonna leave you here with this. Whack! Boom! Ha! See you next time!
But I'd be king just in the spring, so now I think it over.